We're going to hear from our friend Al Jarreau. And Chipper. Al Jarreau and Chipper. I don't own the rights to this music, but we sure do like it.
Every time we hear you,
we're in this love together. Like berries on the vine, it's sweeter all the time. So romantic.
we got the whole thing working out so right. And it's
just the way we planned it. We're in this love together and forever. We're in this love together like berries on the vine. It gets sweeter on the vine. Yes, yes, yes. Here we are on the Pink Sofa Talk, where we are in this love together. Isn't it a wonderful thing? We welcome the gentlemen this evening. We're in this love together. We're in this love together. Forever and evermore. We're in this love together. Yeah, yeah. All night long. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Again, thank you for coming out on the Pink Sofa Talk this evening, the second Tuesday in the month of October. Time is flying. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad to have you all. And tonight we're going to continue our discussion about courage. Courage over fear. And I'm going to open up with just a quick prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gathering. We ask that you would be in the midst, and we pray that all things will be done in good order and pleasing in your sight. And we thank you for giving us each and all the courage to share and let our stories of courage or not be heard. So we thank you. In Jesus' name, amen. And I'm going to give us a scripture on courage, and it is from Deuteronomy, the 31st chapter, the 6th verse. Be strong and courageous. Do not fear or be in dread of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. And we have been talking about courage over fear. And we had a wonderful session last week with Miss Kay sharing some insights on courage. And I shared my story of an incident that I had. I'm glad I'm here to laugh about it because it wasn't funny. And I had a fall Sunday before last because of a dog getting out after me and my grand dog, and I have fear of dogs, and I just I say that I act like a fool, but Miss Kay said no, that was not unwarranted. My fear was not unwarranted. I was in a dangerous situation. So I thanked her for saying that because, I just felt, in the end, I felt very foolish. In some ways, had brought the fall on myself, but truly, I did not. That dog should have been on a leash. That the animal can fit through. So there were a lot of other circumstances other than my fear. But I was gripped with fear. And so Ms. Kay gave us some good insight on courage and things to do to build your courage. And so so we have the gentleman with us this week. And so I just wanted to talk more about courage and how we can build courage and how we can work toward building ourselves up in situations where we would normally react in a way that is not, favorable. So there you have it. My acrostic poem for courage. Okay, and we like to do our acrostic poems, so you can work on one yourself. Mine is constant ovation, upper room appreciation, given everyone. Courage. And I want to just quickly go over some of the things that Miss Kay, some of the gems that Miss Kay gave us last week. One thing she said that we can, talk to ourselves, encourage ourselves. There's a psalm that says encourage yourself. And so one thing we can do is look at ourselves in the mirror and say, today I will be courageous. If you are someone who prays in the morning, you get up and say, Lord, give me the courage of my foremothers or forefathers. Two, we said we can list times when we've been courageous and celebrate those times where we were able to withstand or overcome fear. And she also said, if we write it out, like, if I am fearful, I will elicit help from. And so whomever in your life might be a person that encourages you and helps you along the way, that you want to elicit their help. She also told us that fear of judgment is a lack of courage, and it's okay to make a mistake. So sometimes we're fearful of what other people might think or say about us, and therefore we don't want to take a step out. We don't want to do certain things or speak up for ourselves. She said, keep trying, be resilient, make and persevere. She also told us that to look at our heroes and sheroes, and if we have any people that we're interested, any heroes or sheroes, we can read about them, get their biographies, and get stories about them and how they overcame whatever it was that they had to overcome. And then do self-reflections on your strengths and look at all your strengths, list your strengths, and say, what do I value in myself, and what do I stand for? And then we had a special guest last week. It was her first time on the pink sofa, and she shared with us that courage is divine. And she shared the scripture in 2 Timothy that says God has not given us, oh Lord, God has not given us the spirit of
fear,
but
of power, but of power, of love, and a sane, sound mind.
Yes. All right. So that brings you all up to snuff with what we did last week with Ms. K. It was such a pleasure to have her on, and it worked out just fine for us. She had a cancellation because she normally has someone that she counsels on Tuesday evenings. So there you have it. Fear. Courage over fear. Would anyone like to share a time when they had to be courageous? And what was that? What did that look like? Anybody have a time when they were afraid? They were courageous?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is Dr. James. I'd like to say something about that.
Sure. Sure. Welcome. Yes.
I remember one time I had like a little odd job. I needed some money. So I looked in the paper. There was a job where somebody would do some painting. You know, they need a painter. So I contacted this guy. He told me to come in. And he said, okay. He wanted me to paint this bathroom in the Bronx. Now, there was another guy in there that wanted the job too. So he said, why don't both of y'all work together? You got to go do the sheetrock in the ceiling because the ceiling came down. And then he wanted us to paint it, paint the whole bathroom. Mm-hmm. So I asked him, I said, how much money are you going to pay us for this? So he said, so I'll tell you how much money you get when you come back. Right? Now, I should have known something was fishy then, right? He never gave us the price, right? Mm-hmm. But, needing the money, I just said, okay, I'll do it. Me and this other guy. So we used my car, right? So I lived in Brooklyn. This guy lived all in the Bronx. So I had to pick him up. It took us a couple of days to do the whole bathroom. So I had to drive all the way from Brooklyn to the Bronx to get him in the projects and then we had to drive to the building, to fix the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So we did it, because I had a little experience painting. My uncle used to work on his house, painting and stuff, sheetrocking, so I know that a little bit. And the other guy, he knew a little bit, so we did it. So we came back, and I drove the guy home, and then the next day I called the boss up. I said, "Okay, we finished. Give me the money. We need the money." So they said, "Come in and I'll give you the money." So we had already made arrangements that the guy was going to give me extra money because I had to use my car to drive to the Bronx to pick him up,
Mm-hmm.
And I need money for gas, So we get to the guy, and all he gave us was $90. We worked for about 4 days doing that bathroom, 2 of us. And we had to split that money. We had to split the $90. So I went up there. I told the guy on the phone, the other guy in the Bronx in the project, I said, "Man, he only gave us $90. I ain't working for him no more." I said, he only gave us that. So, but I said, "I'll give you your half, whatever you get," after I took out the gas money. So he said, "Okay, bring it up. Bring it up to the Bronx to me." So I went in them projects in the Bronx. The Bronx is a little bit bad now. So I went in the projects, in the elevator, everything. Went in his apartment, and he had some other guys, some young guys in the house, in his room with him. So as I'm standing right there, I said, "Man, this is all the money he gave me." So the guy was mad, and I was mad. So he reached in his drawer, in his, dresser drawer,
Mm-hmm.
and he was pulling out a gun.
Oh.
So I'm standing right next to him. So I said, "Oh, man." So this is where the courage came in. I thought he was going to try to rob me or shoot me because he was mad because the guy only gave us that little bit of money. So he was coming out of his drawer with the gun. I grabbed the gun out of his hand.
Wow.
I grabbed it out of his hand before he could pull it out. And I held the gun in my hand. I said, this is a true story. I said, "What you going to do with this?" He said, "Oh, nothing." He said, "I always take it outside when I go outside around here, because it's bad around here." So I had a choice. I could have just kept the gun so he didn't rob me or shoot me, or give the gun back to him. So I had to think real quick. So I gave the gun back to him. I bit the bullet. So I had to go home. So we all had to walk out the door together. We all got in the elevator together to get out the building in the project.
Mm-hmm.
So he could have robbed me in that elevator or shot me, but he didn't.
Wow. Thank God.
So I got out of there by the grace of God.
Amen.
But it took courage for me to grab that gun out of his hand, and then I had to turn around and give him the gun back because I don't know what the hell's going on. But I said, "I'm gonna give it back to him, and I'm pray to God he don't shoot me." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he did.
Amen.
Wow. Well, yeah. So that what did it say? Fright or flight? What's the third one? Fright, flight.
Fight or flight. That's
or,
it. Sympathetic response. Then.
Yeah.
Or I guess
so
you fight, or run, or pray, or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
you
fight, flight. That's sympathetic response. Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
But I guess you could throw pray in that one.
I
Fight,
guess because
flight, or pray.
Yeah, I guess because you took the gun, then he wasn't gonna mess with you. You know, like that probably shocked him that you did that.
Yeah. Well, it shocked
Yeah.
my soul when I seen him coming out with the drawer with the first thing I thought he's going to either rob me or shoot me.
Oh, that
Gosh.
would have been horrible.
Yeah, when you talk about being in the projects, makes me think about years ago when I was working in CPS in Nassau County, and I see my friend Elizabeth is smiling. And there were these projects that we would have to go to, and so our supervisor would say, "Call the police. Don't go there by yourself. Don't go there by yourself." And I had like a little thing about that because it was the projects. It was, primarily black folks, and you call the police, you probably would get a white officer, and then it just was like, then people were like, why you bring them up in my house, like, so we would go in pairs. So my colleague and friend, Kathy we went to the projects, and we were going to visit this family. And so we made the visit. I don't think anybody was home, so I don't think we actually saw the people. And we go to get in the elevator to come down. Now, this is a bad building. There's drugs and all kind of stuff that's always going on in there, and people getting shot. And we go, and the elevator stops in between floors. We looked at each other, and Kathy always, whenever we were in like a situation, she had the habit of grabbing me by the arm, like, you're not leaving me. Well, where was I going? We were stuck in between floors, and the door opened like a little bit, not all the way, and it was weird. And then we were like looking at each other like, what are we gonna do? And we couldn't pry it open because we were between floors, and so I said, all right, we're just gonna start jumping. So we started jumping, and then the thing jerked, and it went down, and it got to where we were on the floor, and we got the heck out of there, and we got out of that building, and we could laugh about it after it happened. But yeah, that was a time where we had to figure it out, and it was a fearful kind of thing, but we didn't panic. That was the important part about that. So yeah, that's funny when I think about it. So
It wasn't funny at the time.
no, not at all, Janet. It was not funny at the time. We were like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do up in here? And then we could, like, in the back of our mind, we could hear the supervisor. I told you to call the police. Don't go over there by yourself. Oh gosh. But yeah, thank in us that fear, a fear response, and then with that you got to decide how you're going to react. And one of the things that, like my whole situation with the dog and whatnot, like I felt badly because of the way that I reacted, but I was encouraged that there was nothing, like to say, wrong with how I reacted, because it was a dangerous situation. But I just wish that when I see a big dog, that I don't get so panicked.
anybody there?
Yes, I'm back. Okay, my sometimes if I keep my video open,
Welcome.
I don't know, the internet will just fail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I'm on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Am I good now?
I hear you.
Okay. I opened my phone also, so if it fails, then I can just switch. All right. So who else has a story of courage to share? Or lack thereof?
I have one.
Uh-huh.
Well, since Carol and I were in the same unit when she was in CPS, I happened to have gone to the building across from the building that she was in with a coworker. Did not call the police. We should have called the police because we ended up being trapped in the building as a fight broke out in front of the door and we couldn't get out. But we just waited patiently until some of the people looked up and saw us standing on the landing, and they said, "Let them go." And they let us out of the building. And I told my coworker, when I hit that lock, you get in the car and we're out. And that's exactly what we did. But we laughed at it when we got into the office. But I'm telling you, it was hair raising.
Oh yes. Oh yes. But isn't that something how it's interesting when you're in those kind of places and situations, the people kind of appreciate you in a way, like, so they wanted you, let the nice ladies leave.
That's kind of how we used to sit there. They don't have anything to do with this. We're going to let them go.
Let them go. Oh, my gosh.
I kind of stopped doing that for a minute, not taking the police.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that they should put a cop in every single building in the projects? I mean, do you think that would be a good idea to have one cop stationed in a building?
I do
for
not.
These projects?
I do not. I think that without people being mindful of other people and just being aware, what we had to do a lot of times was we chose what time of day to go when some of the more active, maybe drug sales or drinking buddies were out. So you just kind of figured out the time of day to go. You went either early in the morning or later in the evening when most of the working people were home and everyone kind of looked out for each other. Or some people you just called ahead and they said, well, okay, I'll meet you downstairs and I'll walk you up. So in some instances, the police are not always necessary and they can be more of a hindrance than a help.
Well, I used to do that when I was working as a doctor. I used to do house calls, and I would go in certain neighborhoods. I would always go early in the morning, like you said, before everybody get up. Because most of the guys hanging out and stuff, they don't get up till the afternoon because they stay up all night, so they sleep all day. You know, so yeah, early in the morning usually is pretty cool, but I would try to get out of there before the late afternoon when the sun started going down. You know.
Oh, most definitely.
But I think they should put a cop, especially in some of these buildings, like you see in the Bronx, up there and Brooklyn, but mainly the Bronx. Somebody gets shot every day up there.
But I don't necessarily think I don't think that the cops are going to be a deterrent because some of them are just so reckless. They don't care. Like they don't see the authority of the cop as a something for them to be mindful of.
Well, then there's no other authority. They don't respect nobody then.
Isn't that how it goes?
Right. But they don't respect God. They don't respect cops. They don't respect nobody.
They don't respect themselves. Unfortunately. Yeah.
I don't know, but some of these buildings, they're more like they're traps more than like housing. They're more or less like set up like a trap. Like you get caught in the elevator, caught in the staircase. There's so many places where people can harm you.
Yes, that's true. I know when I worked for a foster care agency in Harlem, and I had cases in the Bronx, and sometimes this high-rise building, high-rise project, the elevator would go out. What? And I had a client on a high floor, and like in the dead of the summer, the elevator was out. So it was like, I'll have to come back because it was just too much. It was just too much. The thought of trying to, I had no problem if I had to climb the stairs, but the thought of going around and around in the staircase, no, I couldn't do it.
It's dangerous staircase. Sometimes they break the elevator on purpose. You'd be surprised all kinds of stuff people do. A lot of them be selling drugs on the staircase. I used to be a paramedic, so I used to walk up and down the stairs a lot. And they sell drugs on the staircase and run back in the apartment and all kinds of stuff like so. That's why I said I think they should put a cop in each building. But that's my personal opinion.
Would that make you have courage if there was a cop there?
I feel more secure if I knew a cop was in the building. If the cop was doing his job, I wouldn't feel. I have faith in God, not the cop, but it's good to know that you got somebody there looking around and whatever.
Yeah.
One cop may not be enough. Sometimes you might need more than one because in Brooklyn they shot this cop on the staircase. They killed this cop in the project in Brooklyn on the staircase.
Right. Yeah, no, I think if there was a cop station there needs to be at least two, because one got to look out for the other one's back.
Yeah, that's the problem. Because he walked in, the one in Brooklyn, he walked in on a drug deal in the staircase, and the guy turned around and shot the cop. Yeah. They caught him, but killed the cop,
So who else has the story of courage to share? Time when you had to be courageous. And courage doesn't necessarily it doesn't have to be just a time when you when there was something like dangerous. Sometimes we have to really dig deep inside to get the courage to speak up for ourselves, or to talk to someone. I'll tell you, the new caseworkers, had a meeting with our commissioner today, our commissioner. And so I'm sitting there in this meeting, and I said, I got to say something. I got to say something about wanted to make a linear transfer to the department that does the training, so I can get back into doing the training. And so I'm just sitting there saying to myself, I gotta say something. And so it was getting toward the end, and so I stuck my hand up, and I got my courage up, and I said, there was a time when we got an email asking us if we were interested in a linear move. I said, and then I replied to that email, and then I got a response that I'm not eligible because I haven't, I got to live out my probation for 1 year. And so I said, it's like my hopes were up, and then it was shot down. So he was like, yeah. And I said, but I'm waiting, and I'm believing that things will move before a year. So I got my opportunity to tell her, and so we'll see how things go. But yeah, so I had to be courageous and share that thought, and hopefully that will have a good outcome. So courage is not just when we're faced in like danger. We have to be courageous at other times. So no one else had to be had to be courageous?
I remember when I was a little kid, I had to have courage to ask the girl, my first girlfriend, out on a date. that took a lot of courage.
Oh, Dr. James,
kid, right? When you're a little kid, that's hard to do.
Oh, yes. Lori, were you about to say something?
Yeah. It was one day I was working as an assistant librarian, and it was Halloween. And at the time, the state senator, he came. He was in the elevator with me, and I had all these papers in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he said, "Good morning. I'm Senator Paul Simon." I burst out in laughter. And I didn't mean to, and he had his assistant with him, and I was laughing so hard. I didn't mean to. She started laughing, but I didn't know that was really the senator. You're talking about somebody embarrassed. They had told me that he always wears a lot of makeup. Do you remember some of us that had sight back then? Remember Creature Features? Remember how they would wear all that white makeup on their face? I was so embarrassed when I got off the elevator. I didn't even want to come in that library anymore. I was terribly embarrassed. Because, I thought it was a Halloween gag, but it was actually the senator. And the lady was standing there laughing, and I was standing there laughing, and he didn't laugh.
Oh, gosh.
That should have been my... That's how men can get very, defensive, I didn't know. So I just took my little papers and got off the elevator. I never came back. I took the stairs. I'll never forget that as long as I live. And then another time, my mother and I went to Florida. It was her first airplane ride. And everything was clean, and they wouldn't let me go through the examiner or whatever you call it. And I couldn't figure out why they wouldn't let me go through. They let her go through, and she was just sitting there just waiting for me to come through. So I kept going back and forth. And you know what it was? It was my hair rollers. It wouldn't let me go through because I had soft steel rollers in my hair. Talk about, again, somebody embarrassed. I mean, I was so embarrassed. I thought I had it all planned, and they were all laughing at me, the police. But I said, I'm not taking my rollers out of my head, you know. And they just looking at me and kept waving the wand, and it kept stopping at my head, you know. I was like, I am not taking the rollers out of my head. Mama was sitting there laughing, and I was like, So they let me go through anyway, but they said the next time, make sure you carry your rollers in your bag, you know.
That's funny.
So don't go in the to the airport with steel rollers in your hair. It was 6 in the morning. I didn't think anybody cared or noticed, you know. Well, now I know. So, and they were the big ones too, the real big ones. Like, oh, so this is a great topic. So that's all I have.
Anyone else? Courage over fear.
Permission to speak?
Certainly.
Grand rising to everybody that's on the line. I've come in peace. I think it takes courage to come up here week after week and do a show. You never know what's going to happen when you come up here. And so when you come up and you just come in and you just start doing what you do for your show, and people don't really know how much goes into this, because all 20 shows we have up here, we come up here and we make it look easy. Everything always right, but it takes courage to come up here to do a show and to hold people in rooms the way we do. I definitely believe it took a lot of courage to go to the airport with those rollers in your hair. A lot of courage around the way that he was working with somebody that he thought was going to rob him for a little money that he got. You know, and see a fight going on, and then y'all got, y'all ghetto pass right there. When y'all got that pass, let them out. They ain't do nothing. That's a ghetto pass right there. It takes a lot of courage
Yes.
to put yourselves in these situations. And so I want to say, good show, Ms. Carl. Just been laying back, just listening, and I yield.
All right. Thank you, Leon. You're funny. All right. Who else would like to share? But some it takes a lot.
I'd like to share something.
Sure. Hey.
I'm a retired teacher from, I don't want to say the district, but we had these classrooms in these sort of like trailers, and they were close to the road. Let's just put it that way. So it was kind of dangerous to have these classrooms out there because anybody could, we always kept the doors locked, but anybody could come off the street, and that's exactly what happened one day. The kids saw this man come to the back door of the classroom, and he was peering in, and the kids got scared and everything. And I had to calm them down. I had to call security and get this guy, because you never know. You never know if he could follow the kids out or what. So I was afraid, but at the same time, I said, well, let me just handle it. So I called security, and they came and got the guy from the door. But meanwhile, I guess no lesson was learned that day because everybody was excited and scared at the same time. So I guess that's an example of courage.
Yeah, well, that took a lot of courage for you to be able to calm the kids down.
Yeah, that's what it was because they were scared. They didn't know they didn't know. Because the guy was, he was a little bit touched, I would say. And they took him out. He called himself Jesus. That's what he told security. So it could have been a situation, but thank God the doors were locked. I called security and everything was okay after that.
Mhm. Well, that's good. Well,
Yep.
I know it took courage for you just to go to work every day in that trailer.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's true, but I think they've taken them down now because they were really they were in disrepair anyway. Because every time it would rain, we'd have to get like a garbage can to put. Because the ceiling was dripping, and the kids like, I'm getting wet.
Wow.
So it was a mess, but I think they got rid of them now. So you have to think it's probably mold in there, all kinds of stuff. I don't know, but they're no longer.
Wow.
So thank God. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Was someone else going to share?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. This is Janet J. And thinking about courage. It takes courage each and every day for me and my people in the blind community. It takes courage when we wake up in the morning and we really don't know if our vision will be the same. And which mine changes like maybe every 4 months. But it takes courage to walk out every morning in the dark to go to the access link and to come back and forth. And it takes that courage to do that, and also crossing these streets because, wow, it's crazy. The way the drivers, they don't respect the crosswalk. So it's like I have to step out and peep and see if a car is coming. So that's courage. It just takes courage to living in the life that we're living now, with being blind when we did have sight. So that takes courage.
Okay. I guess this. Okay. Sorry. My cable is unstable.
I
Okay.
thought it
You
was
can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't hear all of what you said, Janet J. Did everyone hear?
Mhm.
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, it's beautiful. I agree.
Okay. So
Can I ask a question? Good evening,
yes.
everyone. I hear you. So far, I got on really late, and I've heard two people, and it sounds like you're talking about courage. Are we speaking of courage, like any specific type of courage, or I don't know, courage of what?
Courage over fear.
Okay.
So a time when you had to be courageous, or a time where you were overcome by fear.
Hmm. Okay. Well, honestly, the first thing that came to my mind, I think probably because we as a community, myself as a person, individual, and in my family, are delving deeper and deeper into prayer and worship, trying to somewhat on the lines of what Janet J was saying, just having the courage to live life in general, especially now in the blind community and the way the world is, and just the environment around her. Every day is a challenge, and it takes courage to get out there and do what she has to do. So with prayer, I find that it probably, as well, speaking for myself, and then just, in hearing others, I think it takes courage being vulnerable, in having a prayer out loud where others can hear your, you know, whether it be your deepest fears, your concerns, your worries, your trials, tribulations, and struggles. And, perhaps we should not think about those things, but I believe that we do. I do. Again, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I feel like I hope I don't open myself up for attack, because sometimes people, you let them in on a little bit of information, and sometimes it can come back to bite you in the rear end. Like, people sometimes, are human, and for whatever reason, they have a little information on you, and they'll throw it back in your face. So that's a little scary, being vulnerable in prayer. So,
Yeah. I would say it definitely takes courage to do that, and then it takes courage. It takes even more courage when somebody throws it back up in your face. It takes more courage to then be gracious and not do the same, or you just got to say, well, that's why I'm praying about it.
Well, yeah. Absolutely.
Courage to then be gracious in that situation.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Yes. So who else? And I know on our morning prayer call, we have those who will be courageous, and we have those who will not. So it's very interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. Mm-hmm. Who else would like to share on the topic of courage? Courage. What it takes to have courage. Did you guys see Simone? I think that took a lot of courage. Well, practice and all of that too, but she's just doing her thing. But considering coming back off of where she had to step back and take care of her mental health, it took a lot of courage to get back out into the swing of things, And I think that's a great example of courage to
conquer that fear.
Yeah, to not give up on yourself, especially after, people can be very cruel.
Mhm.
And with all that she had to endure to come back. I think it's just wonderful. It's just a beautiful thing to see her winning and just doing her thing. Okay. I have Sally in the chat. Hey, Sally.
Hi.
Okay. How you doing? So we're talking about courage and having courage over fear, and feel free to share if you'd like. And yeah.
Hi everybody. My name is Sally. I like the topic, courage over fear, because I think every, as it was said already, you do need courage in life, and sometimes it'll surprise you when you need to have courage, I think. Yeah. Yeah. For me, on a personal level, I think it's taken a lot of courage for me to be a better person and to try to work on improve some of my ways and rid some of my bad habits. But it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yes.
So yeah, that's my take on it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that, because when we see in ourselves that we feel we would like to do better or be better, it does take courage to make those changes. It takes a lot. And Sally is one of my colleagues at in CPS, and I consider her like a little sister, because
Oh, I appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Younger women, there's I y'all know me. I love the sisterhood, and I love the little sisters, and it's nice to see them coming up and doing their thing, and just taking ownership of their lives. And so
And now, Carolyn, and I that you saying that means a lot, because I had a conversation with somebody and we were talking about role models, and I can definitely see you in that light, and it's great to have people who have lived through certain things and gained a lot of wisdom that they can bestow upon you. So I'm always forever thankful for that.
Yes. So we appreciate each other.
Beautiful.
Yes. All right. Who else wants to share? Courage over fear. Don't be afraid to talk now.
Permission to speak.
Okay.
Come on. I see the female coming first.
Go ahead.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Come on, female. Come on in here. Come on. Let's go.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Miss Carol.
Good evening.
Good evening, Latoya.
Hi, Dina. How are you?
Getting yourself.
Pretty good. Can't complain. I thank God. Courage for me, Miss Carol. Every day it is, but today, courage was for me. Even though my vision was blurry, I still went outside. Still went about my day. I had a day out with my childhood friend, and I spent some time with my niece, baby Teresa.
Okay.
That was, even though looking at her, I really couldn't see her, but it's fine.
Yes.
It's fine. Yep. the whole point we was together.
Mm-hmm.
So putting these shoes on every day, Miss Carol, is encouragement every day.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I thank God. I thank God that He prepared these shoes for me.
Mm-hmm.
And He allowed me to walk in them so I can let everybody else know that we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
So that's encouragement, Miss Carol.
I love your courage. You and
Thank you.
And I'll share for there are many in our podcast community that are visually impaired or blind, and I'm just amazed, and it takes a lot of courage to go out and face the world, a world that you cannot see, and a world that's not always nice. So I think it takes a lot of courage, and I admire your courage.
Thank you, Ms. Carol.
Kudos.
Thank you.
You're another one of my little sisters. Yeah.
Let me.
All right, come on, Brother Leon.
I just want to break down a word. I just want everybody to probably take the time. The word I'm going to use, you're going to hear it. Some of y'all on this line will hear again because I implemented my business. And I implemented for a lot of reasons. So the word, I want everybody to look at the word. The word that I'm going to break down for you guys is fear. The word fear. I want you to write it straight down instead of straight across. Write it straight down.
Acrostic style. That's what we do. Go ahead.
Well, here's what the word fear means. False evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. The word fear. And like I said, some of you guys up here will hear it again. And this time, when I bring it across, I'm going to break it down and tell you why some of it that was touched up here tonight, especially when it comes to the umbrella of vision loss. And so, just take that. Just think about it. False evidence appearing real.
Right. And our word for tonight being courage, and my acrostic for courage, as I said earlier, constant ovation, upper room appreciation in everyone.
Okay.
Anyone else has an acrostic or wants to share, put together bridge? Write the word verbally, and then you make a word for each letter. So fear is false evidence, real, and there you have it. All right, who else would like to share a story of courage, or maybe a time you were overcome by fear? You needed some encouragement.
Hello.
All
right, Miss Carol. Just getting back from my event. It went well. So let me hurry and get on here so I can give support.
Well,
got a chance to really let people know more about the podcast, and then thank God for that opportunity. So hopefully the listenership will be building more and more as we do different things, all of us working on that a little bit. And I want to say, you said talking about overcoming fear or having courage tonight. And one thing that we need to do is whatever is within us to do, we need to step out and in that and have no fear. Be courageous and do that thing, because it can eat away at you if you don't step into what it is that you are to do. And you'll always be second guessing yourself, saying, what if, I would have done that. You wonder how your life would be different and how it would affect those around you. So I can just say, with me now, stepping out into what I already knew that I was supposed to do, it feels really good. And I'm excited about that.
All right.
So
that's
I just wanted to share that.
That is so true. Once you figure out, for many of us, it's hard to figure out what it is that we're supposed to do or that we're here to do, finding some purpose. And then once you get that purpose out, you have to muster up the practice. Again, last week we had Miss Kay, therapist, with us, share some strategy that we could use to listen. One is just to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I will be courageous. Just tell yourself, I will be courageous. I talked about my story with the dog, and so going forward, before better well enough to walk the dog again, I have to before I take him out, I'm going to have to stop and say, today I will be courageous. And if I encounter any dogs that are leashed, be courageous, and I won't stand and scream to the top of my lungs. I gotta come up with my strategy. It's recommended that I walk with a stick, but then you walk with the stick, you gotta have courage. And if you hit a dog with a stick, that dog might really attack you. So you gotta be mindful of so many things. And background. All right. So we want to encourage ourselves. We want to talk to ourselves. We want to think about times when we were courageous, so that we can build upon the last time we were courageous, because doing that, we can, remind ourselves, okay, I did this, accomplish this, so I can accomplish something else. I can do the next thing. And if I'm courageous on Monday, then I can do it again on Tuesday, and keep going and keep building. So sometimes we gotta build upon what we do and encourage ourselves. Look at our heroes, and look at their stories and see how they mustered up strength to be. And motion detected at the front door. Say that we can build our courage, and we want to maybe possibly keep a journal and write down, and we want to write down times when we were persevered, make a list. So these are just some of the things that Ms. Kay shared with us. And
I got him.
So, shared with us last week. Courage. If you place you, okay. All right. What else want to share? A story or a time when you may have been overcome by fear, and we will encourage you. Have the sound on in the background. Mute yourself. Okay. All right. Okay. Anyone else want to share? Other times, any other stories of courage, or even when you were overcome by fear? And I gotta work on the dog thing. I gotta keep working on the dog thing. It's just something I gotta work on, and I just, pray as I field in this job that that I will be safe. And
So, Miss Carol, did you hurt yourself? Is that how you had a fall?
Oh, yeah. So I shared last week. I was walking, as I call my daughter's dog, my grand dog, and a big dog got out after us, and that's how I ended up falling. And yeah, it takes 12 weeks, they say, to heal. So
wow.
pain has lessened, but it's still there. And
that just happened to someone else. One of the first ladies at a different church, and she was walking her dog. I don't know if it's the same exact thing, but he's very big, and she ended up, I guess, I don't know if he was trying to pursue something or somebody else, but anyway, she ended up falling, and he's so big, she wraps the chain around her, and holds it, and she ended up falling, and it's took her a little time to heal, and so she wasn't as active, and she was talking about how sore it was, but now she's good now, so.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So,
but just to say, my daughter has a little joke. If you ever want to see her run, let a dog get after her. That's the only time you're going to see her run. And that's when she outruns them. I said, wow, that's something.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
When I was younger, and this was a small dog, whose dog it was, we were on the block, and my friend, she still remembers how I ran that day, and that dog did not get me. They said it never saw me run so fast ever before that. A little old yap, but I took off. And it's funny because I say I'm afraid of big dogs, but in that case, I ran like the dickens from that little dog when I was young. I just no, I just don't get the dog. And I'm going to tell you, when I worked,
dogs.
I worked at the Montessori school. The school was on the campgrounds of Camp Alvernia, and Camp Alvernia is the oldest Catholic camp in America. And so you have the Biskin brothers ran the camp, and there were two brothers who lived in the friary that was right there on the ground, and they had two camp dogs. Now, Snoopy was I think a Labrador. No, he was. I can't remember what kind of dog he was. He wasn't Eagle, but his name was Snoopy. He was an older dog, very mild mannered, so I could be around him without any fear. The other dog was named Sergio. Sergio was a chocolate Labrador. He was big, massive, and he was crazy. He would chase cars. He would bark at people. And I'm telling you, that dog scared me. But there were times when I was with the children, something, and the brother would come into the retreat center, and he would have Sergio, and Sergio would be off the leash, and he would just be walking around. And in my heart, I was scared, and I had to remember what my father said, just keep saying, I'm not afraid. So inside, I kept saying, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, whenever Sergio was near me. The brother was around, but I'm going to tell you, at the end of the day, sometimes I would stay late in the office doing invoices or whatever, and Sergio would go, they would let him out somewhere around 5:30 or so. If I didn't get out of there and walk down to the parking lot to get my car, I was literally stuck. I could not leave. I would run out of the office to the next cabin and get in there real fast. That was maybe 10 feet. I would get in there, and now I'm stuck in there. And then I would have to wait my time out. And sometimes my youngest had stuck in the cabin, literally could not leave. Now, sometimes I would bring my car up and park in the cabin near the office. So I would say to my son, okay, this is what we're going to do. And we would make our little plan, and I would literally run and get into the cabin. And then I'd have to run out of the cabin. I'll have my car parked such a way where I could get in it real fast. And I would pull around so then my son could come and get in real fast. And I'm telling you,
Miss Carol. That's a lot. You know what? Animals are very sensitive. Animals are very sensitive to whether you are fearful to them or not. You know? And I have a story because I just don't. It's my stubbornness and my personality. So one case, I don't know. I was coming from the club with my friend about 3 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't live too far away, a few blocks. So we was walking, and the dogs came and started running after us. She took off. She ran up the back of the car, and she was on the hood. She was like, you better come on, you better come on. I'm like, I'm not running from these dogs. And the dogs ran up, and I just said, you better get the F out of here. I turned around, I kicked at the dogs. I said, better get the F out of here. I was like, I'm not running. And they just stopped. So I believe what people say about dogs, because I'm like that. I'll fight before I be afraid. That's just my personality. So I just turned around and I was like, you better get the out of here. It was a pack of dogs. It was in the wee hours of the morning. We was coming from the club. My first standing on the hood of the car, check them out. You better come on. You better come on. I was like, I'm not doing that.
Well, that is really tickling.
And it's not my first time. I don't know. I know that it's because I've been through situations where I know that fear has controlled people and it cost them a lot, even death. You know what I'm saying? And I just was like, I'm not going to be fearful. And even when I was walking with my grandkids and this big dog jumped at the gate, I was like, yo, you better get your dog. And then the guy looked at me like I was crazy. I turned around because I have my grandkids with me. I'm not going to let anything happen to them. You know what I'm saying? And I turned, and the dog was right at the gate looking at me. And the man looked at him like, what? And then so she said, well, she didn't know that the gate was there. All because I know I was walking past and he charged the gate. And I turned back because I had my granddaughters with me. She's like, yo, Grandma, you crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm just not going, I'm not going to do that. You know, I had an episode and somebody passed, you know, and it was a lot of fear that was involved in that situation. And that's just said to myself consciously, I refuse. Right. And before I be afraid, I'll die fighting. You know what I'm saying? Not that I won't express in a situation, try to do the right thing if it comes, you know, something that I could do to eliminate being into some type of altercation or conflict or something like that. But I just refuse to let somebody take your heart. My father always say, you know, when you let something control you like that, it kind of manipulates a whole lot of your time. Right. It takes a lot away. And so I knew that, but the worst for me was the loss for me, and it just really made me even more firm into what I am. And, you know, people are like, you're crazy, but no. I had something stolen from me because of fear, so I refuse to let that take any more from me.
Well, I'll tell you, this was the third time a dog got after me and Chip, so I haven't allowed that fear to stop me from walking him or to stop me from from walking. So I could say that, but it's just when the situation comes, I wish that I could muster up the courage in the moment to say, get out of here, leave me alone, and not try.
It's so big, Miss Carol, because I had to laugh at myself because I'm like, ah! You know what I'm saying? They're probably like, oh, who is this?
The dogs bark.
Yeah, I'm like, get the, you know what I'm saying? And I'm actually literally kicking that dog. I was like, they're looking at me like, yo, she crazy. She a different breed. They might be like, she might be part of us. Yeah. I don't know. Because just that anger that come on, like, you better go ahead. But I know I'm that type of person because in general, I feel like I don't bother anybody or, so don't come for me.
It's funny you say that, like the anger, and maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'm gonna have to get mad and then take.
So sometimes you just so kind, you know what I'm saying, and that's what I guess that's what it's like that because, you try to be so kind and so understanding and you know what I'm saying, and then things just don't want to let you be that way. You know what I'm saying? Situations and life, people, animals, whatever. Just I'm like, back up off of me, And even when I was in school and dealing with different issues and like, you the Christian girls, you dressed in your Christian clothes, people got problems with you. You got to fight just because you're a Christian and how you dress. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And dealing with gangs and, man, my sister would have to fight so many people at one time. I'm not going to be scared. I'm like, oh, listen, my father always said, get the biggest one. Start with them, on them. Handle what you can handle. Do what you can do. Wow. Fight back. And then they'll just back off and leave you alone. Never that be done. But I'm just saying, if you don't fight back, you're going to get beat up anyway. You know what I'm saying? If you get mobbed on, you're going to get beat up anyway. And, man, if the dog come and he's going to attack you, he's going to attack you. So I know this is bad language, but they say. it takes something to get some. You know what I'm saying? So if they're going to charge me, you know, my mother used to have us laugh, and she said, bite me and I'll bite you back. So, like, even if the dog charges you, you're going to fight me, you're going to attack me.
Whatever you do, you have to, you got to be wise about it, because you don't want to put yourself in greater danger.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And that's what I said. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to try to use reason in what I'm doing. But if I'm going to get attacked anyway, I'm going to fight back. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now, if I can avoid it in any kind of way, I'm going to. If I can get around it, I will. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the most, you know, that's the best thing to do, is you can't avoid to avoid.
Well, I'm going to say this. When I lived in Brooklyn for a short period of time, one time there was like a loose German Shepherd on the block, and I didn't encounter that dog, but there was a day where there was like 4 teenage boys, and why did they run and jump on top of my little Honda Accord? They dented the car, ran up, and they was jumping and screaming and carrying on, and it was crazy. They literally my car. But
I've never seen a grown person do that until my friend ran up on the hood of the car, and then she ran all the way to the top, and she was standing in the middle of that car like, let's go.
Don't take the dog. I am of where their cars are parked just in case, but there was no cars on the street. Oh my. But anyway, it is 9:50, and I thank you all for coming out on talk this evening. We've had a lovely time and a great discussion, and I hope that everyone is able to have courage over fear. Anything, person, situation that you feel fearful about, I hope and pray that you are able to muster up the courage. And again, some ways to do that: look in the mirror and say, I am courageous. Look at people who you admire who have been courageous. They could be your foremothers and forefathers. They could be people in the community. They could be some of the entertainers, people who have been through something and shared their stories, and you hear stories of courage. One of the greatest, and I'm just thinking about this, one of the greatest stories of courage that when I was selling life insurance, that was shared to motivate us in our business, was the story of this firefighter in New York City who was run over by a bus, and he faced many challenges. They really didn't expect him to make it, but he mustered up the courage to live. He mustered up the courage to be able to walk again, because they didn't think that they did not give him a good prognosis. They had called his family several times to come say goodbye, but this firefighter, he made it. He made it. He can walk, he can talk, and he shared his story, and so that's just one story of courage. And I say to each one of you, I hope that you have courage anytime you're facing something that's difficult, something that seems insurmountable. I hope and pray that you muster up the courage to go forth and do whatever it is that you need to do. And as always, we are in this love together, and we are here to encourage one another and keep one another lifted. And so, as always, I say, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And again, I thank you for coming out on the pink sofa, and I look forward to seeing the ladies only next week. And gentlemen, we'll see you again in 2 weeks. And we are in this love together. We're going to share some music by our brother Al Jarreau. And we do not own the rights to this music, but we sure do love it. Yes, we do. We are in this love together. We got the kind that lasts forever.
It's something that we love to sing. Every time we hear the music, we're in this love together. We got the kind that lasts forever. We're in this love together. Very long.
Good night, Sally.
Ooh, it's so romantic. We got the whole thing working out so right. Just the way you planned it. We're in this love together. We got the time that lasts forever. We're in this love together. Like berries on the vine. It's sweeter all the time.
And let me just announce on Grown Folks Progressive Podcast Network. And in the evening tomorrow at 6 p.m., we have our domestic violence show. And this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, along with breast cancer awareness. If you have and no longer at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening, and have it with John Monroe. And at 9:30, we have our brothers from Louisiana with the Concerned Citizen Coalition. So we thank you for listening to our other shows. And we are also on YouTube now, so you can check out replays on YouTube. And, of course, if you like us, click that thumb up. And we thank you so much. We are in this love together. We got the kind that lasts forever here on the Pink Sofa Talk. Thank you so much for coming out and sharing the evening. And I hope that you have a wonderful and safe evening.